Hey, folks, I got some stupid shit here people say to you when you first get out of prison. Guy asked me one time, "Did you find Jesus in there?" I said, "No, I think he got probation. They didn't send him down." And another guy asked me, this is true. At a funeral, a guy says to me, "I bet you could kill a person with a spoon now." I said, "Well, I don't know about there, but you're giving me some ideas." I mean, think about it. But my favorite one is a woman said to me, she goes, I could just never go to prison. I got news for you. It ain't one of your options when you're sitting in front of that judge. That's not one of the things they say. And you get all that stupid shit they say to you there, and then you meet our topic of the day, your probation officer. JT.
Oh, yeah, that our whole lives are based off what kind of probation officer you get. I got a good one. Jack was still in prison, and I was working, and I had saved up enough money. Jack wrote a book uh, called False Confessions about a guy we were in that was heavy into the polygraph. He testified in front of Congress, was on 60 Minutes. Well, Jack wrote a book about it. It's a real good book. We sell it. And anyways, I go and I tell my probation officer, I said, hey, when he saw me, I go, look, I just want you to know, I'm talking to my old friend that I did time with. He wrote a book, and I'm communicating with him, and I'm gonna get the book edited and try to market it. And he goes, "Are you gonna keep your job driving truck?" I go, "Yeah, of course." He goes, "Oh, okay, we're good." And so that worked out cool for me, but they don't always work out like that.
That's one side of the story. On my side of the story, when I got out, the probation guy, this was my better of two probation guys. First thing they tell you, you got to get a job, and that's great. So I go down and look around. The only job I can get is a guy at a pizza place gives me a job. Nice guy, hired felons. He got it. He'd hire you, walk right in, and you start. And then I told my probation officer I got a job, told him where I'm at, and I said also I'm working with my buddy Greg, who he's been out for a while. He goes, out of what? I said, out of prison for a while. He goes, is he a felon? I said, well, yeah, of course he is. He goes, this is what he says. He goes, oh my God, you can't talk to him. He's a felon. Of course he's a felon. I said, I've talked to a lot of felons. I said, when I was in prison, everybody I talked to was a felon. Yeah, check on that. They're all over the place. Not only that, I said, I'll give you a shocker. That job I've got right now, everyone who stands around me is a felon. And he goes, well, I guess you can work there, but just don't talk to them. And
At a
that's
Pizza
how it
Hut.
started.
At a
Yeah.
Pizza Hut. Yeah, I'm not going to
And
know what's
pizza,
going on.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and so that's how you're supposed to. I don't know how the hell it's supposed to work. There's some magic federal system they've got, but that's how your world starts with it, and it's absolutely insane.
Well, it's almost make or break in some ways. I was on two probations because when I got out on my Fed thing, I still had a probation from Rhode Island from, think of this, 1996 for a marijuana charge that I had already served 9 years on. But they gave me 25 years, 9 to serve, and 16 suspended. Well, California's watching me. I get a probation officer. He tells me I can't drive truck out of state. I'm probably, well, I'm half a lake, a mile and a half from Arizona, which I go into. I drive through California, Arizona, and Nevada. And he goes, well, you can't leave the state. So I had to move out of my sister's house in Lake Havasu, which was great, and I had a great life. I could help her out and stuff. And I had to move away and move into a place where I didn't know one person in town, and just so I could keep my job. So yeah, but I'm not boo-hooing. It's worked out better down the line, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not boo-hooing about this. I just want people to know how ridiculous it is. And I've told this story, and it's on a short bit. I tell it again. Is garbage day. You can't take your garbage out. When you first get out, I'm on an ankle monitor. I get a place down in the hood. Uh, Hell of a neighborhood. I loved it down there. But it was a hood, and so I'm down there, and it's garbage day. So your ankle monitor allows you to go 10 feet outside your house, but the garbage drop off where they picked it up is about 20 feet out. So I'm taking my garbage out, and I just get the can just about to the curb. Dang God, the ankle monitor, my phone's in my pocket. It's buzzing and popping. My God, guys are rappelling down walls and stuff. Marines are charging across the street, it seemed like. And I picked up the phone with the probation guy. What are you doing? Where are you? I said, taking the garbage out. What the hell are you doing that for? Well, I got to take the garbage out. And he goes, no, you can't do that. You should have called. You got to get okay. I said, to take the garbage out? He goes, yeah. He goes, how far out is it? I said, I don't know, 20 feet. Oh, no, you can only go 10 feet. You get 20, 25 feet. You become a flight risk. A flight. Listen, I'm an old guy, and I'm slower than hell. And that extra 15 feet from 10 to 25 is not going to
Uh,
help me escape. It
no,
just
and
ain't. No, and I couldn't mow the yard, so I can't mow the yard. So I got Tim the pothead next door, and I'm hiring him, So he's buying dope with this little bit of money I got and stuff there, and and he's out mowing my yard and taking my garbage out like I'm an invalid, because a couple times he said, just probation guy, well, call me, you can take the garbage out then. Of course, you can't get a hold of him. He calls you the next day. Garbage day was the day before. So do I need to say
uh,
more?
no, it's just our government at work, and sadly, it's not just probation, but it seems like anything to do with justice, it's a shit show, and we're spending a lot of money on it. They put up impediments. They put up a lot of impediments, and
Yeah.
anybody who's on parole or probation knows it. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, and but then occasionally you get a cool one, that'll help you out and shit if you need it. Uh, but I kind of was self-sufficient.
Yeah, I got to give you one more, and this is how extremely stupid it is. My probation guy would come. He'd come around to visit now and then, and uh, and when he did, he always bring someone with him. And one time he brings this one young guy in there, and the house I lived in, this place had a basement in it. And you talk about the Munsters. This house looked like, a cross between Adam's Family, the Munsters, and an outhouse. And but it had a little basement, creepier and shit. So he brings this young guy, and this young guy, he's putting his search gloves on. Boy, he's strapping as they come in the door, because I figured so they can. And the probation guy said, "Hey man, how's it going? Good." He said, "Care if you look around?" I don't care. He always did the same thing. Opened the refrigerator, he was done. The young guy, he's looking around. I said, "Be careful if you go down in that basement." He goes, "Why?" There's cobwebs and shit down there, and some spiders about the size of your head. He kind of opens the door and just peeks and shuts it. And then he goes back out the car. I said, "Got a brave one there." But my favorite one is he brings these women in the next time, two of them. They do the center in all this battle gear, and they're he women, and they're in there coming. "We're gonna start checking this place." He goes, "Nah, nah, nah. We ain't gonna search. How's it going? Good. See ya." And he leaves. Now, if I was gonna if I was gonna do anything, they never even came past the entryway, you know. And he was a germaphobe. My probation guy was a germaphobe, so he didn't want to touch anything anyway, And so why would they even bother to come there? Why? So you can check
But
a
then you
box.
got the young guy, you got the gung ho guy. And
Yeah,
it's funny. I was just telling you my story about I had the good probation officer, then I had the bad one. That while
yeah.
before I quit my job and moved, he used to come to my sister's in Lake Havasu, and he would come up, and I would have to go. This guy was making me, and this is from a 20-something-year-old pot case. He was making me report once a month to his office, and then he would come to my sister's once a month. And this idiot used to come in there with the full tactical gear on, the big bulletproof vest, pistol, and everything. And he would come up into my sister's house, and the sheriff from the local county, they were good friends with my sister and brother-in-law. I mean, I became good friends with them. I used to go riding with them and stuff. And anyways, he's sitting there, and the sheriff introduces us all, and this guy was still like he was like like he was a Navy SEAL. And my
Yeah.
sister's 9 years older than me, and I'm an old fucker, and I'm sitting there going, "What the fuck, man? We're not that dangerous." And he came in, and we used to laugh because, and this wasn't one time. Every time he came in full tactical gear, and he knew my sister and brother-in-law were like pillars in the community, and all I did was work and not do anything. And it was kind of funny shit.
Yeah, they do. It was just so bizarre. The one time there, Tim the pothead is out mowing my yard smoking a joint at the same time. And they walked right by him. He stopped toking him.
And they didn't say anything.
But when I changed, I went from one probation guy to the next one. And my first probation guy called me, he goes, "Hey man, we're moving you down to the lowest level probation." He goes, "This is the lowest level." I said, "Oh, okay." And he says, "I don't even know when this guy's going to get a hold of you." I said, "What's his name?" He goes, "I got it right here." He says, and this is exactly what he said. If he's watching, I hope you are, because this is what you said. You said, he goes, "His name is shit. I can't even pronounce it. Uh, don't worry about it. He'll get a hold of you someday." That was it. And you couldn't even pronounce my new probation officer's name. That should have been a clue.
Well, you couldn't either after a while. You got it.
I don't even know his name now. I'm off probation and I don't know the guy's name yet. I met him one time when I went down right before I got probation. I had his last meeting with the U.S. attorney and the restitution people. He's sitting there, and I had to say, I said, so they introduced themselves, and he just sat there, like that. I knew who he had to be. I said, "Are you the probation guy?" Yes.
He didn't
Okay,
want to
that
talk.
was it. That was it. I wouldn't, and we're done talking. Yeah, that was it. And I'm not whining. I don't get. I think this shit's hilarious. There's a book and a song and everything in this deal here. It's just crazy. These people get paid. This isn't even incompetence. This is inability. There's a big
It's
difference. Yeah.
yeah.
It's, it's
But it is a good jobs program. Uh,
But
eh,
it's a great jobs program for people who don't have any qualifications.
yeah.
You know.
No, exactly. I got to tell you this story. This same probation officer I was telling you about, when he told me I couldn't leave state, I quit my job driving and was helping my brother-in-law install manufactured homes around Lake Havasu. Well, I wasn't. I'm on the California side, and there's a ferry that goes across from the casino, Indian casino, to the Havasu City side, which is Arizona. It goes every hour. It's a ferry, but he told me I'm not allowed to go over there. And I mean, just a couple miles away, not even 2 miles. And so I never would screw with him because he lived over in Lake Havasu City, and I knew that. And so, anyways, my grandnephew, he was in town, and he was got some girl, and they're trying to sneak out. She's married, and he had a girlfriend, and he was trying to sneak out. And he goes, hey, and he was trying to get me for cover. And he goes, hey, why don't you come out, go to across the lake, and go drinking with us? And I go, no, I'm not supposed to go, man. He goes, oh, come on, nobody's gonna know. So I go with him. We're in this bar, DJ's, which is pretty seedy. But all of a sudden, and I'm sitting in there, my nephew's vaping weed, and we're drinking. I'm really fucked up. And I'm sitting in there. Next thing I hear something paging Greg Thompson. And I acted like I didn't hear it. I told my nephew, man, my name just got played in the speaker. He goes, oh, you're tripping. He's just trying to get in this girl's pants. And so all of a sudden I hear, Greg Thompson, does your probation officer know who you are here? And I go, what the fuck? And I'm thinking maybe I'm hearing something, I'm smoking and drinking. I'm going, man, did I just hear that? And then some dude comes up, and he looked like a cop too, Jack. And he comes up and he goes, are you Greg Thompson? I go, no. I go, what the fuck you talking about, man? Get away from me. And so the next day I got bombed. When I came home the next day, my PO called, said, Mr. Thompson, I want you to be truthful with me. Were you in DJ's last night in Lake Havasu? I go, and I knew not to lie to him. I go, yeah. And he goes, I'm glad you told me. He goes, because I was there too. He goes, I was watching you. And and I started laughing, and he goes, if you ever go again, I'm gonna have to tell California not to pull back the thing with Rhode Island for watching you, and you can go deal with Rhode Island. I go, yeah, no problem, dude.
Yeah. The thing is, and there are guys out there that need some help when they get out, but the extent of the help that they give you with this folder with a list of places on it for you to call if you need help. That's what it is. So I called these places. They don't have any people working there that can help you. They don't have enough help. They're not even funded. Can you imagine now that Trump's been in there and Doge has gone through stuff that these aren't tied to appropriation. These are outside groups. They don't want, you think they didn't have any help money before? No. And I'm not saying, oh, a guy committed a crime, you got to kiss his ass and, put his diaper on for him. That if you don't want him going back in, you don't want him, running through your rose garden and stealing pies out your window or something like that, they got to find something. And there's nothing there for him because this shit's being taken away. But I want to address this idea of probation, how ridiculous it is. And that the problem is that people say you're on probation, break a law on probation, you're going back to prison. Well, if you break a federal law and you're not on probation, you're going to prison. The feds send you to prison unless you're the two correctional officers who are taking care of Jeffrey Epstein when he hangs himself. Then you get community service. I have a totally different topic, but look at that deal. Check that shit out. How'd that happen? Just think of that. I could have done that instead of what I did, and you could have too. We'd have had community service. Shit, I got a 15-year bid. How many did you get? I
got a few. But that being said, you're right. once it happens, once you've been arrested, especially once the feds come after you, you're hit because you're getting convicted. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, you're right, Jack. If they want you, they're going to come get you. But a lot of young people coming out of prison, what's your goal? Well, I'm going to go smuggle some weed again, or I'm going to go get some kilos and take them back east. Well, I don't know what they call them now, birds or whatever. So, anyways, if we want to pay $75,000 to $150,000 a year, depending where you're at, to incarcerate people, as opposed to spending a little money, it's just real stupid not to invest in some of these people's lives to keep them out because it's cheaper down the road.
It is. And they've got to catch on to a few things. And this is before it even gets to probation, even to the prison. The marijuana laws are stupid. You got guys serving times in federal prisons like Colorado in a state where it's absolutely legal, and guys are in there serving time for marijuana while the correctional officers are smoking it in their cars as they leave. Watched it. That's what you're
And you
paying.
saw it happen. You saw it happen personally. I was in there for pot, and there yet the cops there could smoke weed because Colorado was legal, and
Yeah.
so there's definitely some dissonance there.
But look at the money it's costing for pot. Legalize the shit, tax the hell out of it, and get those guys out. What the hell? There was a kid in Latuna with me, a young gay kid. And we call him Snowflake. Years and years he got for marijuana, and he's in Latuna, which is no place for the faint of heart, especially a skinny little gay dude. And
Yeah.
yeah,
He had plenty of commissary, I bet. I bet he had plenty of commissary.
He had all kinds of commissary. It's just a whole other story. We'll approach in our R-rated section of our program. But it's true. It is just dumber in hell. So we kind of comment on the whole system, but that's part of our take on probation. Anyway, before we lock her down, almost said, before we lock her down, you got any closing thing? Other than we need you to have you subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you think. And we'll keep plugging away at it till you start paying attention to it.
Yeah, and if you're in Riverside, come have a Prison Break product here at the Brew Crew. It's in other spots, but this one has all four of them. Anyways, we're working on it still, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, Jack and GT here for Bed Joints to Beer Joints. We'll see you soon.